There we go.
This is Community Board 2 Manhattan Landmarks Committee, the first of 2 meetings for this month. And I'll go briefly. We have a number of new people presenting this month, and sure to some members of the public. So I'll just go briefly over how the meeting is run. We have the presentations followed by questions in order from the committee, board members not on the committee, guests, and the public. With the applicants, please be sure to state your name and the address of your project when you begin so that we have that on the record. After all the work is done with the presentation and the questions, we will then at the end of the presentations have the business meeting when the resolutions are formed, and everyone is welcome to stay for that, and only members of the committee and people invited can participate at that time. When the public speaks, sorry, I've missed one thing. You'll be limited to 2 minutes for your questions, comments, whatever you'd like to say about the application. It's important to remember that there are other aspects to an application other than the landmark. And here we deal only with that. If there are other things that the public are concerned about that relate to the application, please be in touch with the board office and they will guide you to the proper committee or city agency or wherever you should address yourselves. Thank you very much. The first application is 130. Oh, one other thing. If anyone is here for 83 Horatio Street, that has been laid over and it will be not heard this month. The first application, 137 Waverly Place, to install signage, single stoop gate.
All right. I promoted Michael Cohen to be joining us as a panelist. Michael, when you've joined, you can present using the share button on the bottom of your Zoom.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I will begin to share the presentation for 137 Waverly Place. My name is Michael J. Cohen. I'm the owner of this property.
The agenda.
I'm ready to commence at the pleasure of the board.
Please go ahead.
Thank
you.
Thank you. Thank you for indulging us tonight. We appreciate your time. We value service of the board for everything you do for the neighborhood and the surrounding areas. I am a lifelong resident of New York City, primarily grew up in Brooklyn, now reside in Manhattan. Me and my wife own this property at Waverly Place. Let's get right into it. This is in the landmark Greenwich Village district. It's between 6th Avenue, the very busy corridor of 6th Avenue, next to the West 4th train station, and Gay Street, which then gets to Christopher Street and 7th Avenue. This building was built in 1829. It's one of the oldest properties on the block, probably. It's in the federal neo-Grec style. We have not done any major exterior landmark alteration of any kind to date, and we don't intend to. The only thing we're asking to do here, and this gives you a flavor of the time, as you see, not much change, frankly, and we don't intend to do much in the way of change. And if you see in the streetscape, it's sort of similar picture, but what we intend to do is simply install a stoop gate. We're proposing something that's consistent with the design of our own site and the aesthetics, consistent with the precedent of the surrounding area. We are not touching any historical element on the stoop or on the facade or anything on the exterior, just simply laying the gate in an appropriate fashion. We believe it actually is promotive of the historical preservation efforts we've taken to date. Why? Because we have found being so close to 6th Avenue in a major thoroughfare, and also one of the largest subway stations in the area, we tend to get a lot of public passersby, I mean, thousands a day. We'll do things like deface the buildings, throw garbage. I mean, it's almost unstoppable. So we've had somebody sleep overnight on the stoop recently. And we think, the gate is just a simple measure to instill safety and not damage the property. Simply what we're proposing. This is roughly what the gate looks like. It's roughly 37 inches at its top height. And is in keeping. You see, these are the style of the existing, possibly 1829 railing. I don't know, but it's certainly pre-LPC designation, these railings. So we copied it, and
It's not 1829.
it may not be 1829. It's certainly pre-1940 or whatever the
1920.
database pictures. Can't confirm, but obviously it's pre-LPC designation, and we're endeavoring to mimic the exact look of that style. And the measurements are below the top height of the railing by about 5 inches. So subtle and in keeping with what we have, and respecting the style and the history. Granted, it's not the old history, but maybe pre-designation history of this gate. And the reason why I say it could be from the earlier era, if you see over here in the right picture, there's that old-fashioned boot scraping part of the gate of the railing, which is from the time of pre-automobile horse and buggy time. So in any event, not looking to disturb anything except simply installing the gate as situated. Now turning to precedents.
You can go to just a couple, and briefly, we're well
Yeah,
familiar
sure.
with these 2 blocks of Waverly Place and all the approved ones. So just
Yeah.
show us a couple that are similar to the one you propose. please.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This gives you an idea that there's a plethora of precedents in the area. 79 Christopher, right near us. Simple gate in keeping with their style. Further on Waverly Place, that's just down the road. LPC approved a very normal looking gate, similar to the style that they have. In fact, this gate is probably even slightly higher than the railing, and we're not proposing to do that. Barrow Street's nearby as well. So 138 is right across the street. Simple, nice, elegant railing. So I'm sorry, gate. So in sum, we feel that this is an appropriate design that will help preserve the site by keeping us all safe. And we really ask and respectfully ask for you to consider this application and improve it from the community board level as we proceed to the LPC next. So yeah, I have nothing else. If the board has any questions, happy to answer.
Okay, thank you. Before we move on to board questions, I see that the co-applicant, Michelle Cohen, has her hand raised. Eugene, can you allow her to speak?
Yes.
Thanks.
She's allowed to speak.
Hi, I just wanted to say hello.
You want to mute the second?
We're getting a bit of an echo.
I see that. Is this better?
Yes.
Hello?
Hi, good.
Proceed.
Oh, good. Hi. I don't know how to turn my camera on. I just wanted to say hi. I'm Michelle. I'm excited to be here, and if you guys had any questions for us, I'm here as well.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Is there anybody in the committee? Anita, you have a question.
Yeah, I have a couple of things. Hold on. I'm just going to, could you go to the sketch of the drawing that you're proposing? I'll just start talking because I know we've got a lot of applications.
Right.
I think the drawing and the information would be a lot easier to understand if you actually put the real newel posts, which are very curvaceous, right up against these straight up and down 2x2s, because that is what it's going to look like, correct?
Well, actually, the
Newel-
picture we provided is actually the gate.
So we've been working with Anu in LPC, and we sent over, it's been months in PowerPoint and things like that. We sent over a sketch and we went back and forth, and she told us what parameters to follow in terms of height and doing a 3-piece gate, and etc. And once we started to feel once we started to feel like we were getting closer, we had a few incidences that were threatening. We told a new LPC that we were going to move forward with something just to secure the stoop. And if she had any feedback, and she came by and she said, let's present she helped us with the presentation, and we can make some modifications to this, but we really had to get it on.
I understand. I'm really here just to make some hopefully helpful suggestions.
Thank you.
Just if you don't like them, don't take them. But I think it looks very minimal to me. This is a historic district. It's, that's okay too in a way. But I think for example, the top bar, the top piece of the gate should probably be a different element or a heavier element. That's the one that your hand is going to be using. You're going to need to have a post that goes down into the step to secure it because it's a double door. And also, what are you going to put on top of that 2x2? You're just going to cap it or something. So I'm just suggesting that you think through the details and you'll have a better result. And it's not that it's about money, because you don't have to spend that much more, but I think a little bit more care I would like to see in the design of this ironwork. And I understand this is a very busy street, and I totally get that. Things are crazy over there. So those are my comments.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in and piggyback on that because I had a similar reaction, which is that, clearly, we understand your need for the gate. I mean, I live very close by and have experienced all the things and more that you described. So there's, no need to convince us of the veracity of your need or the intensity of it. But I do think that the gate as presented is a little twee compared to the other ironwork. I think that the scale does not look substantial enough. And the little decorative element that goes across the middle that mimics the existing element going up the stairs does not look to be the same scale. I mean, there's not really enough information there to see it clearly enough, but is it as detailed as that element on the side? Yeah, it just doesn't look the same as the other one. And that helps, that also supports a slightly discordant feeling between the gate and what it sits in. And so I would hope that you could massage your design somewhat so that it is all of a piece with the rest of your beautiful house.
And let me just say one more thing. And again, you don't have to fight us on this. I just think, if you can use it, that would be good. I also think you should anticipate the size of this gate. These are tiny, tiny, narrow sidewalks. And this gate, it's like half of 68 or something. So, just think about it. That's like swinging all the way to the car almost. That's a big gate on a tiny sidewalk. So there are different ways of solving it, but I just think it would be good to draw it. That's why we draw these things. We can see the problems.
You have such a well-designed or well-executed rendering. It looks as if it's already there. It's already been built.
Yeah, sorry if that wasn't clear. It has been, and we can take, with the help of someone at LPC, we did not finish the finishing touches, as you mentioned, above the post, where we're going to take input as to what to put there. The gate does not swing too far into the sidewalk. In fact, we got the dimensions to make it this way, a 3-part gate from LPC. So we
Is
took,
it 3-part or two? It's a double gate, right?
it's a double gate, but Michael, they called this a 3-part, right? A 3-section gate. What we wanted before was different. And so with their parameters, this was preferable. I see it wasn't meant to mimic exactly what is there. In fact, a lot of the gates that were approved were simplified versions of what was historically there. Just another little tidbit. There was a gate on here before, which I liked a lot, and that had a violation from LPC. So they
Before we took into the ownership.
before we took ownership. So in order for the prior owner to sell it to us, they had to remove the gate. And that's why we said we want to go through the proper process.
Okay, could we just concentrate on the gate between us?
Yeah, and also I just need a point of clarification. I thought this was a proposal for a gate and this was a photo rendering. And I think our other committee members may very well have thought the same thing. So this is in fact a gate that already exists and is in place then? Is that correct?
That is correct. It is.
And was it installed without a permit?
It was installed.
With LPC's cooperation.
Either
and
had a
That's why
permit or
they're
it didn't.
here. That's why they're here. Otherwise, you're going to get a violation if you haven't yet.
No,
Basically.
we're
So you're
working
trying
with, just to be clear, we've been in close communication and coordination with LPC. We said we have a fabricator and they said, you go ahead and put it, you can put it in place. Well, and as you do your application and whatever the commission says, they say, and if we have to make our modification, so be it. But we've been working very closely. This is not a prohibited.
Okay.
The fabricator was very clear that he could make certain modifications as needed, like as you mentioned, to the post, etc. And we just, as we get the feedback, it was just taking almost over a month, if not more. So
All right, thank you. We understand all that. This is
Okay.
a very unusual situation to have something come before us after it's been installed. And normally when that happens, we're responding to request to cure a violation. So we have to treat this in much the same way, though there's technically not a violation apparently on it. Are there any comments from the committee about the design of the gate?
Anybody else?
We just erected it to show it in.
Okay, I'm asking the committee.
Just have to defend it.
It is what it is. We understand. Thank you.
You understand that this is a question to the committee. Is there anyone else who wishes to comment?
Does anybody else in the room have anything?
I mean, Brian, too.
I have something when everybody's finished.
Valerie first, and then if Brian has something else, and then you, Chanel.
It just reads as very separate. I see the gate and it just isn't cohesive.
Yeah.
Discordant, I think is what I agree with what Susan said.
I agree with the other committee members. So
Okay, Chanel. Thanks, Brian.
Yes, two things. It looks like a gate that was found and put there rather than a gate that was designed to somehow be harmonious with the ironwork that exists. One thing that is glaring is that it's higher than the post beside it, which makes it look even more stuck in rather than a part of the as though it could have been conceived as a whole. The other thing is it doesn't close automatically.
It doesn't close automatically?
No, you have to close it manually.
But there's a self-closing hinge, but
Okay,
yes,
so if you leave it open, it closes on its own.
yes, it does.
Okay, that's a good. Then my only real objection is just that it's doesn't relate to the ironwork that's there, and in particular that it's too high. Are there comments from the? Are there other people, Susan, who wish to speak anywhere?
Eugene, is there anybody I don't see anybody with a raised hand, do you?
I do not see anyone from the public with a raised hand.
Okay, thanks.
Then thank you all very much. Then we'll move on to the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My bad.
The next application is 2729 Great Jones Street to replace existing steel and glass storefront with new aluminum and glass storefront.
Okay, I'm promoting Orlando Garcia, who should be presenting this for 2729 Great Jones Street. Mr. Garcia, if you can use the share button on the bottom of your Zoom.
Good evening, everyone. Let me know if you see my screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. My name is Orlando Garcia. I am the applicant for this project, which consists of the replacement of the storefront at 2729 Great Jones Street, also known as the Great Jones Spa. The location of the property is Great Jones between Lafayette and Bowery, right across the street from a parking lot. And as you can see in the map here on the left side, it was included as part of in the historic district. So it is actually historic, not necessarily a historic building though. The image on the left is taken from when the building was designated, and on the right you'll see the existing conditions of it, which have really not changed except for a few minor details. Like you see here, my cursor, these two glass panels that broke at some point were replaced by these two panels over here. So those are the only like two changes that you can easily see. Now, these are historic photos of the street and the two buildings, not necessarily very clear, but it gives you a sense of the nature of the historic character of the two buildings. Especially here, this is a 25 Great Jones, the building to the right that now doesn't exist. It was replaced by a new building, and this would be on the left, 27 Great Jones. Now, these are the existing conditions of the storefronts. They were built in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they were made out of steel. Let's remember it was built when, of course, this area was not designated as landmark. And so due to deterioration over the years, the side panels behind the cast iron columns and some of the storefront items are in pretty bad shape. And I guess because of the nature of the design at that point, where these panels are opaque, they're not really translucent, it is my belief that this invites vandalism. So you can see here some of the details of that storefront and the deterioration of the different elements. So we are proposing to replace the entire storefront, which consists of 6 sections from the left to the right. I'll show you in a minute. The left is yes. Okay, the left is a fixed panels. The 29 is Great Jones is the entrance to the spa. The next storefront is the exit or egress or shared exit by the spa and the residential condominium portion of the building. The next one is the entrance to the 27 is the entrance to the residential condominium. And the next entrance is another entrance to the spa. And the last section is a fixed storefront. Drawings conditions.
Sir, could I ask one thing? You're simply replacing infill, is that right? Is that what we're seeing?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Now we're seeing here an enlarged plan showing only the storefront and what we are proposing. And given the nature of the use of the building, which is is a spa, there's people coming in and out throughout the day, a lot of people, and also to the residential building. We are proposing to install an aluminum storefront type with ornamental details. And the reason for using aluminum is just because of the nature of the spa, the high humidity levels, and the heavy duty nature of the usage. It's just more reasonable to use aluminum for more durability. Now, here you see sections of each storefront, and including the banners that were approved by DSA before the building was designated as a landmark. So these are the banners are grandfathered. Here's the other. There's 2 banners, so we're keeping that. And you'll see here the details for each section of the storefront. Now, close details of that storefront, we're including elements of or like ornamental profiles to give the storefront a more feel, or at least that it looks more in contextual. It's not just square profiles, it just includes some level of details as well. And here you'll see a photo of the existing condition versus what we are proposing, where the color will match the color of the adjacent cast iron columns, and the glass will be translucent, except for a few areas where we have plumbing chases and shafts behind that we cannot really make transparent. And we're just using clear glass in an attempt to mitigate the vandalism in the building. And there is 2 sections, this bulkhead here and here on the side, that are actually vents for the spa. We cannot really eliminate those. And we're proposing to replace the existing louvers, these black louvers here, for aluminum louvers, or if technically it would be impossible, just to paint them the same color as the rest of the facade. And here as an annex, as appendix, we're showing the full ground floor plan, where we can see at the core of the building the residential entrance here, and the shared egress here on the storefront number 3, or section number 3. So I'm ready to take any questions that you may have.
How tall are the louvers, please?
The louvers are right now let me just zoom here, 3'9".
Sorry,
3'9".
3'9".
Correct.
Well, Rita,
Yeah, I have,
And which are the doors in the drawing you're showing?
All right, let me just go back to the facade. I'm gonna zoom in here. So the doors is here where it says 29, that's a double door. Then the next section here is a egress exit shared.
Can you show with your cursor which one you're talking about?
This, okay. So this,
It's just hard to tell from the,
all right, so this is the entrance to the spa where the reception lobby is behind it. The next door is the shared egress by the condominium, the residential condominium and the spa. Next,
We're not seeing a
Can-
cursor
Can you
move.
show us, can you use
just
your
tell us from left
cursor?
to right.
sorry, I'm gonna start again, from left to right. So here, you see the 29?
What we're asking you to do, please, if you can, is to move your cursor as you're showing us each part so that we can see exactly what,
Do you see my cursor here?
Yeah, but
it's at the top and it's fixed. It's not moving.
Oh, no. I'm moving the cursor. I don't know why. Do I have more tools to show?
I think this is on a drawing somewhere. Was this
Oh,
not?
It's called 1 through 6. Each storefront has a number,
Right.
going from left to right.
Correct. Let's go back to, maybe this is helpful. All right, so this, you see a cursor?
No.
No, that's not happening. Maybe if you just referred to them by numbers 1 through 6, we could all get on the same page.
So let me just, I don't know why the cursor is not working.
If you want to see it, I have it right here.
So storefront number or storefront 1 or section 1 is this, it's fixed, where you see the louvers. Storefront number 2 is next. It's the entrance to the spa,
Yeah.
the lobby. Section number 3 or storefront number 3, that's the shared egress by the spa and the residential portion of the building. Then storefront number 4 or section 4 is the entrance to the residential condominium. Storefront number 5 is the entrance, another entrance to the spa that leads to the juice bar. And section 6 or storefront 6 is a fixed panel behind, and right behind it is the juice bar of the spa.
Ah, all 4 of them are doors then. There are no windows as such. I got it. Okay. Questions from the committee, please?
I have a question. With this this scope of work, I'm a little surprised you didn't address the ADA accessibility to the spa and the residential. They're all 7 inches up.
Right, correct. So the shared entrance or egress, this one is number 3, is the one that is being used for handicap accessibility, both for the residential portion of the building and the spa.
Oh,
So it's an entrance more than, from my point of view, because it says shared exit egress. So it's an entrance for the handicap,
Correct.
a wheelchair bound, I guess you'd say. And they go directly into the stores or?
No, it goes directly into a hallway that is shared by the spa and the residential portion of the building. The elevator, let me show here in the floor plan. Here. So the elevator.
you seem to be frozen at this elevation drawing, LP07. We haven't seen it move, the cursor or anything else show up.
maybe unshare and reshare your screen.
And let me just stop sharing
Show us a floor plan, which I think would help us.
and reshare now. Let me just reshare this.
Are these light fixtures, these things?
If we could move on,
Are those light fixtures?
at the business session, Eugene,
I didn't think so.
I've seen the floor plan and it's very clear what's what.
You know, I'm having
Doesn't really have much to do with what we're discussing.
difficult sharing. It's just on my end is just a black screen. What do you see on your end?
It's black here as well.
Okay, could we go on with questions and?
I have another question, if I could. I just want to know what, on the elevation, for example, the one that we were looking at, the proposed, in each of the storefronts, 1 through 6 is a white, it almost looks like a beam, but I assume it must be like a downlight what is that? Is it a light fixture?
Yes, it's a light fixture. Well, if I cannot show one. Yes, it's a light fixture. It's a fixture that comes down a couple of inches from the lintel of the building.
All right, we usually like to see those as well, by the
Is
way.
that part of this application?
It is. It's part of the application. We're replacing fixtures. We're not including like new piping or new conduits. We're just replacing the fixtures.
And have you an example of the fixture that's being placed?
All right, we can see it in the proposed conditions photo rendering on page LP 14 of the application.
We'd be satisfied to see these at the business session.
I have one, hold on a second, hold. Oh, I have one more comment, actually. I noticed that you took two fairly large pieces of glass and painted them black on the backside. And it was my understanding that it's really nicer and better to have a screen rather than a painted opaque treatment. So I just think you might want to consider that before you paint the back, and because it has a lighter, more realistic feel.
Okay, our intention with that is when you see buildings usually with clear glass, clear windows, they look black. So our attempt was behind it is a shop and is a pipe.
These are still black. They're screens, but they're not just like flat. Look into it. Landmarks uses them frequently. I just use them on some doors that you can't see in, and I think the effect is better than painted black.
Okay.
All right, anybody else in here?
I have one question on my own now. Is that the minimum height that the louvers can be? I'm saying that because they almost look like a overgrown bulkhead. And if they could be more bulkhead height, it would
It's
certainly.
3'9". They're like 4 feet. They're really tall. They're not bulkheads anymore, maybe.
That's my point. I'm asking the applicant if they can, if it's possible to have a shorter louver section.
No, what happens is right behind it is the ventilation system for the spa. So there is fresh air intake, and that kind of is calculated, cannot really be modified.
So that the conduits couldn't be made, or the ducts couldn't be made smaller.
Right behind it is ductwork, correct?
Any other questions?
No, it's fine.
No other questions here in the room. Is there any member of the public who wants to speak? Please raise your hand if you have a question or a comment.
You're gonna want to sit up
All right,
by a mic.
no raised hands, so I think we can move on. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, everyone.
The next application is 458 Broadway.
Round thing somewhere in there, right?
Partially, please everyone be quiet in the room. It rackets through us terribly. Applications to partially replace the sidewalk and perform associated structural work at the vault level.
All right, just waiting on this to back in. Here we go. All right. Share this. And then let's do.
We see it, thank you.
All right, all good, right?
Yep.
Great. Good evening. Thank you for meeting with us. This is our proposed application for partial sidewalk and vault restoration at 458 Broadway. This building is located in the Soho Cast Iron Historic District at the southeast corner of Broadway and Grand Street. Existing conditions necessitating this repair mainly focus around deterioration of the steel structure underneath the sidewalk due to water infiltration from the sidewalk above, hence the necessary replacement. We do currently have temporary shoring in place, but obviously we'd like to make the full repairs. Proposed work is at the eastern portion of the Grand Street facade of the building. We're just doing this this portion of the sidewalk for now, as this is the area where we've seen the most deterioration, and this sidewalk is proposed to be replaced in kind. We do have a couple of shots of our drawings here. Everything is proposed to match existing. We have section here as well. The existing condition that we are here for is that underneath the sidewalk, there are existing vault light panels that appear to function as framework for placement of the concrete at some point in history. We don't know when this happened, but the panels, obviously, as you can see here, are in very poor condition. We've got a couple more photos here. Panels are fully deteriorating, and they would not serve as a viable wearing surface on a sidewalk. We do have a couple of photos, historic photos here. We have one from 1912 and then one from sometime in the 40s. At neither time do these vault light panels exist at this location. Current conditions at the sidewalk level, lots of cracks that are allowing water through to the structure underneath, as well as this one mismatching flag that the city removed a phone booth a couple of years ago, and this is what they put back. So that is within our scope to return the whole sidewalk to match existing conditions. Vault light panels, diamond clay cover, as I said, would become a maintenance item to prevent tripping and any more water infiltration. We know that the panels or diamond plate cover do not exist in the context of this block or in the surrounding area. New sidewalk light panels, I know, cost isn't a huge determining factor here, but it would be, six-figure costs to install new sidewalk light panels. We do have two excerpts from the LPC designation report for the Soho Cast Iron District. The first one from the Broadway side, there is no mention of existing, they call them iron vault covers. And then our segment of the sidewalk is the south side of Grand Street, which is mentioned in the second excerpt from the designation report. And that portion actually says that the iron vault covers have been removed or resurfaced. So that clearly happened prior to designation of the building. The sidewalk is only described as concrete with bluestone curbs, but in some places the sidewalk is resurfaced with tar paper. That's further down the block. That is all we have for our presentation. Thank you for your time and consideration, and open to questions.
Thank you. Thanks. That was very thorough. Thanks.
Thank you.
Chenault and then Anita.
I'm sorry, there's one thing I need to get clear. The question of vault lights, is it that there were never any and they were taken out before any photographic evidence? I didn't understand if there've ever been vault lights or there's any assertion.
Yes, so clearly there are vault light panels here from some point in history, but
the panels exist, but the vault lights are gone.
Correct.
It's existing condition. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Anita.
How many square feet are you replacing?
It's 35 linear feet by, I believe, what was it, 18? It's 35 linear feet by, I believe it was about 18 feet in depth, so that would be.
Close enough. What, I just wanted an idea, you know, so it's a third of the building because it's 100 feet deep, long.
Exactly.
This is has a lot of exposure, this building.
Yes.
So it's a corner building. My other question is, what is the concrete going to look like? And is that going to be followed through then as you do the other parts? And how did you figure out there's so many different concrete patches here.
Yes, so our intention is for the concrete to match existing.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, so we'll, our plan is to have several mock-ups in order to compare with what's actually there so that we can approve one.
Are you going to go darker or lighter? I mean, those are the options, right? Darker or lighter?
Well, it seems like it's exposed aggregate.
Well, these have been patched over time. There's nothing, I don't think there's anything historic here at all.
No, we're just talking about matching what's there.
But I'm challenging him because there are probably 10 different concrete patches on this 100-foot long, that and on the Broadway side. So I'm just saying that they should probably get a strategy that works for everything.
Okay.
If we're gonna end up with an all-new sidewalk, it would be nice to upgrade to a better look.
Is to match whatever's being done at this time for the entirety of the sidewalk. It's not gonna be all done at this time. It's gonna be phased out. So this is the first phase because of course,
But it's so
it's a
important
structural issue.
how you're gonna, I'm interested in what it's gonna look like.
Yeah,
So that's why it's very important because it's the first one.
so this is like,
So we will prepare mock-ups and we will review them with the owners and if landmarks request them, and we will do as well. So we'll try to satisfy the environment and make sure that it matches what is in the context.
Right, I think what Anita is asking, correct me if I'm wrong, it's tricky when there are so many, you know, it's just pick any New York sidewalk, it's like choose your own adventure in terms of what is the baseline point of reference going to be for the surfacing, I think is probably what you're asking.
And what are you gonna carry through?
Yeah.
Because now it's an opportunity to get rid of all.
So what will
patchwork.
be your sort of baseline reference for this?
Well,
They don't know. They're gonna do it. They're gonna mock it up.
we have to mock it up first.
Yeah, okay, so there'll be mock-ups, all right.
Absolutely.
Great.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, that's intent.
okay, thank you very
so
much.
this is like a master plan
Yeah.
for signage where you can start here and then keep going
And whatever's approved for this section will follow throughout.
Yeah.
So that will govern, that will be.
It's
the
an
governing text.
opportunity.
Great,
Yes.
And that
Yeah,
is
you're aware of that, yeah.
And the board is in agreement with that, meaning ownership.
Yeah.
They're in agreement with that.
okay,
Yeah, the
Thank
problem,
you.
as Anita says, what are we approving? We're approving a condition or a future appearance that we don't know. We're not presented with what it's gonna look like.
Okay.
So I think part about, can we put concrete back in instead of the vault lights and so forth? I think we can, or I could agree with that, but we don't know what it's going to look like when you replace it. So that makes it.
Okay. Yeah, in terms of, so our intention is to match existing. We'll have mock-ups and then that'll be submitted to LPC as well with this application.
We'll do that in our resolution.
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, great. Does anybody else have anything? Pete Davies has his hand raised. Pete, Eugene will make it so that you can speak.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Very good. Yeah, I live a short distance from this building and it's just been a really rough situation at this location because of the steam works under the street there. That's really impacted this location. So, and the mismatch of the concrete, that's the fault of the contractor who removed the phone booth. Their contract said they were supposed to match the concrete that existed, and they were just so careless. And this building is now impacted because of their carelessness. So I would suggest that you support a darker shade rather than the lighter shade. And just try to help these folks get this building fixed, because it's not a good situation.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Pete.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay,
All right.
I think that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Next application is 70 Prince Street, to legalize the installation of signage and painting of the facade without LPC permits.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in person. We like people. Yeah, we like people.
Have a good night. Thank you very much. They have to run too.
Thanks for
Are
coming.
you working on it, Eugene?
Yes, promoting Andrea Berardi. I hope I'm not mispronouncing that name. You should be able to rejoin as a panelist.
70 Prince, right?
Yeah.
Everything okay?
Yeah, thanks.
Rebecca?
What's going on? Are they here?
Sorry, Thomas, I think I promoted you by mistake. You're for West 11th Street. I'll put you back into the applicants. My apologies.
I like the table of contents.
Hi there. If everyone's ready, I'll kick it off.
Great, thank you.
Perfect. Hi. So I'm Katie Perkins. I'm with DIG. And then I'm also
I mean,
here.
we're not getting a full size image.
Andrea, do you mind expanding it a bit?
Are other people seeing the small screen inside the screen? It's not filling the screen. And I don't think that's on my.
That's okay, though. We can see it.
If it's legible in the room, that's fine.
Is that okay? And we can zoom into in certain areas if we need to as well. I think it's just because she has it in the Bluebeam review, which is just a different type of application for the reviewing. But yeah, so I'm also here with our architect of record, BKA, who's represented by Andrea Berardi. And yeah, to the earlier comments, we're here for the request to repair a violation and gain approval. So Andrea's going to kick us off and kind of walk through the presentation, and then we're happy to answer any questions.
So we are located at the corner of Crosby and Prince. As Katie mentioned, we're here to correct a violation. This is the original approved design, which had the storefront painted white. It has since been painted mint, well, we call it a mint green, but it's a Benjamin Moore historic light green. So we're here to gain approval on that, as well as the painting of the railing, the checkerboard pattern on both the ramp and the overhead on the pickup window. We also have signage on our lower bulkhead that we were asked to present and gain approval on. We're also presenting down to our elevations. So we are presenting a flag sign, which was on the building for a previous tenant. So we're presenting to put that back on the building, install an address numbers, an additional dig. Rather than branding the restaurant Dig In, it's now just Dig. So they'd like to change the sign front to Dig on both sides of the corner. So that would be on this side as well.
Is it dig with the period or without?
It's with the period, technically.
Ah, okay.
There's been a lot of internal discussions about that one, though.
I bet.
Simple enough.
This is the proposed flag sign style. And I think that covers it. We do have, Katie, these light fixtures are new, right? They weren't installed in violation. We're looking to get those.
Those would be additions. Those would be changes, correct?
Yeah. So I can show those as well.
To be clear, I'm sorry, are you finished?
Yes.
Okay, the signage and the facade and is it the ramp decoration that's under consideration? You mentioned checkerboard.
Yes, the checkerboard pattern.
It's the fact that it's been painted with checkerboard design.
Correct. Yes, we added the checkerboard onto.
And are there pictures that show perhaps from a comparable building the color that it was before it was painted?
So it was painted white before it was painted mint green, and that was approved by the board on the last hearing. I think that was I would have to go back in the records and see what year that was, but it's been quite some time when it was painted.
So the existing condition was white before it was painted this dark?
Correct.
Okay. Fun. From the committee, please.
Yeah, I guess my first question is, why did what you do differ from what was presented in the original application? Why did you do something that differed from your previous application?
Have an application.
Yeah, so we didn't have the application originally. So previously it was about 2018, I believe, that we got the white approved. And so what we did was we changed it. The white was looking really dirty, and so we decided to paint it a brand color when we repainted it just to freshen it up, not realizing that it wasn't going to be in violation. And so that's why we're here to get that actually reapproved now, or hopefully.
I see. So it was an approved color, and then you painted it. Now you're looking for approval. Oh, okay,
Correct.
got it.
Correct. Yeah.
Thanks. Brian.
Okay, so certainly I have no problem with the paint. The signage, though, it's two questions. The banner sign is, you mentioned there was a banner sign on the front before. You're putting a banner sign back. Is it the same size as the one that was on the building before?
It is, yeah. What we're actually proposing is using the exact same positioning of the mount. And then Andrew, I believe the mount is the same size. We've been staying within the required area or sizing, if you want to, of the blade, not the blade sign, but the banner sign.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, right there.
Yeah. Okay, the second question.
Blade, not a banner.
Blade.
They're calling it a banner.
Flag.
Flag.
Double-faced printed flag, a flag sign. Okay, second is, I have a lot of questions about the neon signs at the corner, the dig period signs on the corner. That's very unusual for us to.
And we're actually not proposing neon. We're actually proposing a halo. That's actually a halo lit. So the light would be coming from behind it, and it just adds a little bit of a glow behind it. So it's actually it's not neon.
So what we're looking at in this depiction is a painted something material that's opaque.
Correct.
And has the light behind it. Okay.
Big difference. It's not existing, is that?
Except it stands in front of it. Look at the section. It's like an inch or two off of the face. Inch and a half.
So it's white LEDs.
That's how you get the halo effect.
Oh, okay. I thought it was flushed again.
Yeah, so it is deeper than I believe what the allowed signage depth is, which is 2 inches. If I remember correctly, so it would be an additional 1.5 inches off the building.
So
LEDs, not neon. Okay.
yeah, so it has a larger dimension than what is allowed, is that what you're saying?
Correct, yeah, it's what we've found out is that if it was flush up against the building, the depth of the sign is completely within the allowable depth. But because we're pushing it off a little bit to allow that halo effect on the back and add a little bit of luminosity behind there, that's what pushes us outside of the allowable depth of the sign. So it pushes it from, I think Andrea, you're correct. I think it was the 2 inches and now we're at 3.5 inches.
Okay, we're used to seeing halo lit signs all over the district that do exist within the allowable limit. What makes it different here that you can't stay within?
2 inches, it's really thick,
Yeah.
individual letters.
Yeah.
It's a deep
So it's really dimensional.
letter
Yeah.
form.
Okay, we can talk about that later.
Uh,
Thank you. Anita.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. I'm so glad you did not install those light fixtures that were in the previous application, you know, those down lights, boom, 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 all along.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, what is that?
But that's not.
What are you-
Yeah, that was-
What are you showing us?
This is the proposed light fixture for adjacent to the Crosby Street window. So,
Yeah, show us that location.
right here.
Just
So
that
there's
one.
a light fixture there now. I think I have a photo of
Is
it.
it like occupied? It goes red and green. Looks a little like that.
So when I reviewed the application earlier today, I saw that fixture was called Hollywood something. What is it called? Hollywood?
Oh, the proposed fixture?
Yeah.
I don't know the name of it. Pastel disc, yeah.
Yeah, but then underneath somewhere it says Hollywood something. But anyway,
Oh.
it doesn't really look like it references anything historic in our district. So I'm wondering why that one?
So what we did was we wanted to take a play on, so there's a light already there, actually. There's like a sort of a globe light that's already there that does have a very historic sort of nod to it, similar to like the globe lights that you'd find in the windows and things.
Right.
With that one is that it is, it's no longer produced anymore, and so we can't find a matching copy to that one. And so we were trying to find one that was similar, that was both LED, had the same round sort of a bulbous form, but also still played to the brand as well, but was still, you know, relatively neutral in aesthetic. And so that's kind of where we landed, was, you know, a really quality fixture that was reminiscent of what was already there, but that we could find 2 of that also, you know, met LED requirements too.
Okay, thank you. Valerie, Brian, anything else? Anita, anything else? Yeah, Anita.
I do. I'm looking at the sign, the green, dark green, which personally, I don't know why it doesn't seem to go that well with the rest of it, but the sign, is that canvas 36 inches tall, 24 inches wide? And because now I'm regretting saying to Brian, it's a blade sign, it looks like a banner sign.
What's in
Where is that? Where is that located? Right there?
Your vinyl.
Yes, between the windows. So if I go to the
Mock-up of it.
the mock-up, it would be located between these 2 windows, which is where the existing bracket's located.
And on the other side, just review it with me one more time. What is the signage on the other side facade? On the Crosby Street?
Oh, the blade sign that's existing is,
So that's not being reviewed today? That's approved, that white sign?
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do is actually remove that and replace it with an actual light fixture on both sides.
I see. Well, also maybe the same color.
Yeah.
Not to be picky, but that's a little hard to understand why you would switch.
So is the removal of that blade sign on the Crosby Street facade part of your proposed scope of work?
It is, yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And so you're gonna have 2 round lights is what you're proposing?
Yeah, can we
Correct,
see
yeah,
that?
just create a little bit more symmetry.
We see that depiction rendering?
I don't know if we have that one. I think it's on the elevation, Andrea.
Okay, well, that would be close,
right
good
there.
enough, so. Yes, oh, okay, all right. Oh, yeah, I didn't notice that before.
Yeah, just trying to create a little more symmetry over there.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Used to be the Savoy or something.
Savoy, my favorite
That
restaurant.
was really, I loved it too, yeah. Old favorite restaurant.
Okay. Chanel, do you have any other questions? Eugene, have you got
yes.
anything?
Susan, if you have a good note about the banner, I won't go into it. Big
What,
sign up high above, whatever it's called.
I don't have the dimensions, but it's in the drawing.
Okay, I'll get those off the thing.
Yeah.
What I didn't hear is if there's objection to it. As we speak.
Well, it's existing and they're replacing it with a new one. So I don't know how controversial that could be.
The other thing is that I don't understand about the checkerboard. I know what it is, but it doesn't seem to have anything to do with anything.
Yeah, to be honest, it's just a part of the brand. So the brand was refreshed about 2 years ago, and the checkerboard was one of the brand elements that comes to play within the full dig brand asset. And so it was just a way to sort of bring that little touch of fun into the space is really all.
And the on the facade that we're not seeing in this picture, the other street, those the lettering at the bottom in the panels there, so the 8, 9, was that approved or not approved or?
No, that's the one that was another thing that we're coming in for approval on, correct?
It says they're removable,
This is
Chanel.
something that was done.
Yes,
contrary
correct.
to
Yes,
what
and they were painted. It's hand painted actually, so it's a very historic sort of application of signage. But what we did was we actually painted them on plexiglass and then have them sitting in the window, so it's not actually applied to the window.
Okay. Again, I just wanted understanding. This just was all done without regard to what was approved for some reason. It's not the motive, it's just what happened.
It's just, yeah, correct. It was just what happened.
And all of this was done throughout, just done.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, correct.
I want to point out for everybody, we're not punitive here about a violation. When we correct a violation, we use a standard of, would we have approved this had it come through the normal course of an application that was fulfilled. So just to keep that in mind.
I appreciate that.
Is there anything else from anyone, any raised hands? Susan?
Yeah, let's go to the public, and we've got 2 members of the public with raised hands, Pete and Ann Micheltree. Sorry, Ann.
Pete, you're up.
I'm up? Okay. I just want to back up what Chenault said. The checkerboard is just incorrect. It's wrong, and there's nothing about it that is should be approved. The lettering, the signage in the lower windows is there's no precedent for that in the neighborhood. There even their own imagery that they show in their presentation. They show a lot of storefronts that are outside of Soho and not in the historic district. So the claim that the second light on the Crosby Street side gives some symmetry. I think if you look at that wall, you'll see that there's no symmetry whatsoever, and the tiny light doesn't do much. I just think they're doing way too much, and what they've said over and over and over is, well, it's the brand. Well, this is the brand doesn't overtake what is correct for the district, and anyway, that's my 2 cents. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Pete.
I was going to speak about this in the business meeting, but since it's come up in testimony, It's basically that the historic character of the district overcomes branding that comes from wherever it comes from. And we're very conscious of preserving the character of the district over and above introduce things from outside from a landmark's point of view. Thank you.
Can I say something before we move on? I just want to talk about the blade sign on the Crosby Street, which is not shown removed. It looks like you're filing for it. And it's huge. It's really wrong. It's 38 inches from the face and 10 inches tall. It's a very odd, out of character blade sign. And I thought your application was to remove it.
Yeah, that's the proposed. We would like to remove it and replace it with a light fixture. So you can see the proposed at the bottom right here on the screen.
Well, how come it's shown here on the neon sign, people? You submitted it as new and mounted and everything. It's not clear to me. It's shown right here. It's yeah, that's shown like proposed, right? That's not removed. Anyway.
I'm not sure why that one was
getting
included.
smaller and smaller and we can't see them.
Yeah, and I don't know why that one
should not have been included.
that should not have been in there because we removed that from scope. So I apologize for that.
Right.
Thanks, Anita. Thanks for catching that.
Yeah, thanks. It's a really weird looking thing too. Okay.
All right,
I want
and
to ask this simply
sorry,
because
Ann, hang
it's
on.
clear.
Go ahead.
And the picture that's on now is the green sign sticking out from the left side of the building on the elevation in the proposal or not in the proposal?
It is in the proposal. Yes, we would
Okay,
like. Yeah.
that settles it. Thank you.
Green one,
The flag.
right.
Yeah. Okay. Eugene, can you let Ann speak, please?
Hi, can you hear me? I think I'm on.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, this is ridiculous. Can you go to like page 5? I had trouble finding the pages, but I think it's page 5. And yeah, that's fine. It's just that on the left, you have these words, whatever they are, salads, blah, 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 bowls, plates to go. And you have the word dig, and that's fine. And then you want to add the period. Now, I just don't understand any point of why you would add a period, not a sentence. And it's not consistent. The period to me is just like you have it on the dig sign in the back. That period is just, do you have a word with a period? I don't know.
It's their brand, it's the brand thing.
Yeah, I don't think that's within our
Can we not
purview.
discuss
Can't do
it,
anything
just
about it.
hear from the applicant?
Well, that's all. It's annoying. It's not necessary.
Yeah.
That's all I was gonna say.
Okay, thank you, Ann.
All right, thank you. I don't see any other hands raised from the public.
Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all for your time. I really appreciate it.
We'll go
Thanks.
on to the next application then.
One more, 271 West.
71 West 11th Street to renovate the rear facade to include new steel doors at the basement
I
and
saw
ground floor, replace double hung wood windows at the 3rd and 4th floors in existing window openings, install new painted wood panels at the 2nd floor and bluestone wall finish at the ground and basement floor, repair or replace brick walls at the upper floor to match existing. It's not quite as complicated as it reads. When you're ready, please.
Oh, I think you are still muted, Mr. Hutt.
Hello?
Yes,
Hi.
we can hear you now.
Good. Thank you, Eugene. Can you see my screen now?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Nope.
Don't know why that is. This isn't my forte. I'm not always so good at this Zoom.
Yeah, if you,
Have the video.
the share button. on
Share.
the- Yeah, share, and then select the window with your application, and then you have to hit the share button again. In the
That's
bottom.
right.
It says open system settings.
Um, hmm. So on the button that says share.
Oh,
when
team,
you-
let's see if I can do that.
Yeah, when you hit
Give me one
share.
second.
Sure thing.
Uh, oh my God. Zoom. It's asking for a password. I don't know why.
Eugene, are you able to share this and the gentleman could call for page numbers?
Sure, let me go ahead and try and do that.
Sorry, all. Thank you.
No problem.
I also have something that I wanted to. Oh, shit. Okay. Is that big enough for everyone to see there?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. Good evening. My name is Thomas Hutt, H-U-T. I'm the owner of HS2
Sir?
Architecture.
Sir, I'm not able to see it here. There, it's getting bigger and bigger. Can it be made the full screen?
Screens advanced.
Is that better? Should be full screen now.
That's better. That's considered better now. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good evening. So our application tonight in front of you is for 271 West 11th Street. It's in the mid-block on 11th Street, the north side of 11th Street between Bleecker and West 4th Street. We are presenting tonight the rear elevation renovation, and we can go now for that. Please, Eugene, thank you. Tax photo of the original building from the street. There is a 62350 you see there in the middle. We might come back to that if we can get the stoop picture up, but if we keep going. This is going to be part of a full building renovation. We have an application also in front of Landmarks for the new entry steps and areaway reconfiguration, as well as a new door and door surround, which we will discuss at another point. These are photos, streetscapes taking from the north, from Bank Street looking south, showing that there are no gaps in the blocks and no visibility to our rear. And we did the same exercise along West 4th Street, which is in the lower scenario photos. And the next page is a looking down the yards. We can see that there is also, if we go to the next, no visibility. That the side that is highlighted in red is the side of 261 West 11th. Actually, our neighbor to the east, which is 269, sticks out further. You'll see in some of the context photos. So there is, summarized, there's no visibility from the public thoroughfare in this particular application. Thank you. Next, please. Some context photos of the rear yards along the block, 263 and 261 to the left, 265 to the right. This is just by way of showing different types of modifications that have occurred. The next one, please. Then there's 267 West 11th Street, a little further to the close to our building. And next to our building, which is probably an application you heard years ago, is the neighbor 269 West 11th, which actually did bump out from the existing building and then put on this large curtain wall in front of it. That's our neighbors to the east. Keep going. We also included this particular building, which is at 58 Morton Street, as it serves to us as a precedent image that we have sort of brought into the design of our work. Keep going. Thank you. On the left now is the current yard and rear facade. What you're seeing there in the lower 3 floors is the basement level, the ground floor, and the second floor. In addition, there's a railing at the top for a 3rd floor terrace, and then is set back to the brick facade of the 3rd and the 4th floor. On the right hand is our proposed work. Essentially, we are maintaining the exact volume of the building. There's no addition of any sort except for a balcony at the ground floor. So if we take on, we can go back and forth, but if we take on the next image, a little closer view of what we're proposing. On the right, which is a straightforward, straight ahead rendering, we are proposing on the upper floors, the 3rd and the 4th, to restore the brick, put it back in place, replace the windows in kind with wood double hung, painted black. And then from the 2nd floor down, we are proposing to put wood paneling on the current building, pull off whatever is there that shouldn't be there, and paint it to gloss black, and to add steel windows at the 2nd floor, the ground floor, and the basement. There'll be a stone terrace patio, a bluestone or darker gray stone patio. I should add again that in landmarks, we're here tonight for, in particular because the 2nd floor, which are the pair of the steel windows that you're seeing, that doesn't quite conform to the rules of LPC's rules. However, the ground and the basement do. The replacement windows in the 3rd and the 4th floor and are conform as well. At the top of the 2nd floor and the 3rd floor terrace there, we're going to replace the current cornice with a new cornice in kind with dentils and molding. We're going to put up a painted steel guardrail at the terrace. And then at the roof, we'll have a painted steel guardrail as well. There is some talk between Landmarks and us actually as of today that whether or not to simplify the upper cornice, make it less bulky, and we'll get into that in a minute. But essentially the basement ground and 2nd will have the black painted treatment with the wood paneling, and then the 3rd and 4th will be the restored brick with double hung windows, wood windows. Next, please. Thank you, Jean. A line drawing just showing the context of our project to the neighbors, fairly much in line with the massing, the addition to our western neighbor, which is 273, 275, and then to the east, 269 does its thing. Can we go more? This is just a kind of, again, another reference. We're going to talk just briefly about the 2 cornice solutions that we have. We kind of pictured those in the reference circles. These also line drawings show the paneling that we have in mind and the amount of work that's going to be done to modify the bottom 3 floors to allow for the new work. Keep going. These are just a quick section, a demolition section, and the scope of the demolition or refurbishment in the elevation. Basically, as I said, if we go to the next one, the volume is staying exactly the same. We are raising the top of the 4th floor wall slightly to accept the roof because the roof is being modified from a very pitched roof to a flat roof with pavers, but it's going to cause us to come up a little bit. But you can see that we're basically, it's the same envelope as before. There's a small terrace leads up to a yard that's not going to be modified. It's going to be landscaped, but kept as it is. If we keep going. These are just detailed pictures, drawings, I'm sorry, of the proposed work. If we have any questions or if you want me to slow down, I'd be glad to slow to any of these. I'll just come to the cornice at the third floor, which is the next image, I believe, so in our lower left corner, Landmarks has asked us to bring back that cornice in some facsimile to what it is. So we've added dentils, different types, sets of profiles that lead up to the railing above it. And then at the top, which is the roof at the upper left corner, you're seeing the fourth floor and the roof. And we proposed a cornice similar to what we have in the front. And we're working with Landmarks now to simplify that. They'd like us to keep the brick roll and then just simplify what's going on there. We're not going to have any gutters because all the drainage will be internal. But I would just point out that that cornice is going to be modified and simplified with Landmarks request. Next, these are some details. Again, if this is really for when we get down into public hearing and for the staff, keep going. Continued details of just some of the that's good, great. Then so the bottom three floors are the panelized wood adhered. There's some framing that go around the steel windows. Essentially, fairly straightforward application. The light fixtures are going to be reviewed at staff level as well, so we didn't bring them tonight. There's going to be a stair with a steel railing that goes down to the lower terrace and also to the yard. All that railing details will match the renovated street facade railing as well, so they'll be consistent to what we're proposing to LPC for the front. Just some more detailing. I think we can maybe move through it unless you have some questions. This is the terrace, the balcony at the ground floor off of the kitchen. That is just, so there's going to be some recessed junction boxes and some discrete spotlights for the lower terrace. And that's basically the rear proposal. If anyone has any questions.
Yes, please. These windows that you say are before us in the second floor, why are they not respecting the three windows? It looks like a disturbing third pattern of windows introduced. We understand about the bottom two, but it just doesn't make any compositional sense.
There are two rooms behind them. There are two children's rooms behind them. So they don't really break out very well for three equal windows because that's the basic answer. And they would like as much light and air into those rooms as possible. So unlike some of the planning for above, in which the third floor, which is the floor just above the addition, which is the primary bedroom, that will have three windows into one room.
Yeah, and that's typical to keep that recess part. The other thing is, if you could guide Eugene to the last rendering, I believe it showed that this looks like a flat surface painted, and it helped us to see the whatever detailing there is on the back.
So probably, yeah. So if we go back, Eugene, you don't have the thumbnails up, but if you scroll backwards quickly, I think the line, it's not that easy to render. If you go back, go forward one, sorry. It's not that easy, and we're getting a professional rendering for the hearing, but it's not that easy to render black. But if we go forward one more time, I think you see there. Yeah.
So what exactly are we seeing here?
So you're seeing flat recessed panels, vertical panels between the second floor windows, and another recessed panel that separates the second floor windows from the bottom two floors. And then you're seeing a kind of coined wood. Again, we may very well with Landmarks choose to bring the paneling detailing that you're seeing at the second floor down into the ground and the basement. So because Landmarks is working hard with us now and we wanted to get move this forward, we had shown this, and they do believe that we could articulate this in a more panelized way, and we may very well present that at public hearing. But
And
what you're seeing is an articulated wooden panel with essentially a joint, a
And-
recessed joint.
And I know that there are other black additions, and you've shown us some. What is the reason for it here? What is the aesthetic or the historic or the anything? Why is it black?
I don't have a
Certainly
clear
not
answer for that. I can just say that our client has preferred that and has cherished that since they've been talking about the rear elevation. So it's
So
something
you're
they're
not
drawn to.
recommending as any reference, any historic.
I don't have a specific historical reference other than other precedent images in certainly the neighborhood and throughout the city.
And what is going to make us, how is this going to read this articulation that we see here if everything's black?
It'll be
one side
glossy,
of
so
black.
there will be shadows. If you went to the initial image, if we go back a few, Eugene, I'm sorry that you have to control this, to 58 Morton, that picture, yeah, I think if we go one more, I'm sorry, got to go forward from that. So we anticipate that the same amount of delineation, even though it's all kind of modulated through the glossy black paint, but we do believe that with reflection and shadow, there'll be plenty of variation on that facade.
Good. Thank you. We're seeing this makes it clear really what it's going to look like.
Our render, yeah, so the render will do a little bit, we'll tweak that.
Thank you. Susan.
All right, anybody in the room have anything? Brian?
Yes, first thing I noticed that on the third floor terrace, you have a door that in all the renderings, it looks like the door is narrower than the windows above it or next to it. And if that's an optical illusion, I wonder if there's any way to make that door look like the same width as the windows.
I believe an optical illusion because they should be the same. If we go to the elevation drawings, which would be one few forward, Eugene.
Few forward. So
yes,
yeah,
this one.
Yeah, they are intended to be the same width.
All right,
we're elongating the window.
I think because it's longer, it feels narrower to you visually.
It really.
Well, that may be so, but maybe it's the trim, maybe.
But I can also say that if that's something, that's certainly something that if you felt was important and we have somehow missed it, or we would certainly respond to that, and we'd be glad to make them the door the same width as the window above it.
Yes. My second question is on the description that we have in front of us. Mm-hmm. Is that the install new painted wood panels at second floor and bluestone wall finish at ground and basement floor.
Right, and I should have made that clear that that's been a change from, I apologize, I should have made it clear that with working with Landmarks in the interim from our application to you, and now they've asked us to go to a more homogeneous 3-floor look, and we've decided to use the same material from the second floor, painted wood, and bring it all the way down the building. So I apologize for not pointing that out in your description is inaccurate.
Well, and then we'll modify the application because the application is as of what comes to us this evening. So that's.
So you had a sample of pavers or some stonework, dark colored stone. What was that for? Can we go back to those samples?
Yeah, this one behind this. Well, just go one back there, Eugene. That image, yeah, that one.
Okay.
So that was just for the terrace pavers.
Terrace pavers, all right.
So dark.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, anybody else? Valerie, Anita?
It's compared to the 58 Morton, it's very intense.
Yeah.
Whereas that one on 58 Morton seemed to look a bit more delicate and elegant. This is quite a contrast.
Yeah, I have a question. Is that a true black? What is that color? I mean, it looks.
It is going to, yes, it will be a true black. Again, we've kind of lightened it a little bit. So there was some of the articulation of the paneling so that you could feel some of the lightning in the paneling, which we know will happen in reality. Again, we will go for a more articulating rendering for public hearing, but it is a true black.
You know, it's not even, I mean, the rendering, you know, is the rendering. It's just that imagining that proposed facade in a black gloss paint, it feels like you're fighting your own desire to have this kind of articulation when you choose black, as opposed to, say, you know, charcoal or something where there might be some hope of really seeing that articulation. I'm not quite sure I understand why that.
I think in reality, it'll be very articulated. I think it's suffering a little bit from just a little simplification in the rendering. But if we talk about whether you prefer the 58 Morton articulation or not, but if we look at that facade, what happens in that image will happen in our project for sure.
Okay, thank you. Anita?
Yeah, I just a couple of things. I guess I do have to say something about those windows, the two square windows. What bothers me, aside from what other people have said, is that you're going from a rectangular vocabulary. Our buildings are rectangular. The windows are rectangular, the facade is rectangular, and now we've superimposed this very perfect squares. And I think that's just doesn't go together. And with regards to the glass finish, I think that's a big mistake. If anything, it should be a very soft, more historic. Glossy black paint is not a row house vocabulary at all. And I know you're not trying to be, but it would be nice if you could soften it, at least some places, and I think it'll look better. Because it won't be like, that's a steel vocabulary. That whole facade looks like it's, you know, popped into the wrong neighborhood. It needs to go up a couple of blocks. It should be softer and not so industrial and not so square. The proportions bother me. So thank you for hearing me.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Has everyone finished, Susan?
Yes, go on, Schnell.
I comment more my own comment now. I think the two windows are just unacceptable the way they are. It looks like, and I don't mean to be flip, it looks like a square jack-o'-lantern with a big mouth and
it does look like a face.
And two big eyes. It doesn't relate to anything. It doesn't relate to the building or to the what's below it or what's above it. It's just like stuck in there for the utilitarian purpose of two rooms inside. They could be united or they could be smaller, but what's there is just doesn't work. I dispute that the black relates to the Morton Street example. This, if I understand correctly, is a flat surface articulated by paneling. And the Morton Street there, if you go back to it, maybe I can explain it better.
Yeah.
That is a very delicate construction. It's almost like black framing around, whereas the proposal is a black facade, which is really very different in just the proportion of solid to window. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also noticed on that picture right there, that it's 4 windows across on the existing facade. Or 5.
Five.
Up above that.
But maybe using the 4 windows would keep the center divider, but anyway, yeah, we're not trying to design it for you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Well, maybe.
all right, we'll move on to the public now. I see that Anne has her hand raised.
Give me 1 second. All right, Anne, you should be able to speak.
Okay, now you can hear me, right?
Yes, we can.
On page 9, I'm so sorry, but I call it Alice Cooper eyeliner. I see that jet black, and it looks like you have a stone thing, and then you're going to paint over the stone in jet black, which that I don't see the need or the reason for. The more earth tone, slate gray, right, whatever gray rock, natural rock formation. The only rock that comes in black is like onyx, or it's clearly painted and it's clearly too dark. And the windows, I can't even go into, it's been oversaid, but the contrast between what's on the left and what's on the right, I don't see how you can call that historic. I don't see how anyone could look at that. I think this is what's been said and say it's historic. It is not. It's 21st century. It's obvious to me. It's what's on the left. You don't want this crumbling rocky thing next to it. You've got your modern and your historic mixed up, and it's getting, so you want to blend in with the one that's on the left where the advance has already been made. But at least the one on the left has kept the stone quality. What you're introducing, as I call it, Alice Cooper eyeliner, black. It's just not black. I mean, it's just not historic. That's all I could say. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else from the public? Okay, I don't see anybody. So thank you for your application. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Okay, we are in biz.
All right, Chenault.
I heard badly the member of the public who just spoke. She didn't like the back, right?
Correct.
Okay. Let me just note public, because I do not like to leave it out. How did a gate get so complicated? I hold that it just is, it's just a mess. It's plopped into the,
right.
It looks like it was bought at a gate store and put there.
Yeah, it's we're on 137 Waverly now, which is the gate. So everybody's on the same page. No, that's okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not organic with the rest of the stoop.
Right. I said we deny it, and I'm not supposed to speak first. Anyway, I will anyway. That we deny it, and
yeah, I hate it.
That a design be harmonious with the existing ironwork.
Yeah, I think, it's an unorthodox situation because, first of all, we thought we were seeing a proposal, not a fait accompli. And I understand the urgency of the applicant's need, but in that case, I would rather.
Not that urgent.
But I'd rather just see than just some like temporary something put in there pending a proper a properly designed stoop than something that is, neither nor. So yeah, I think that we've all had the same response to it, which is that it's in its proportion, in its resolution at the ends, in its articulation, that it just is not organic with the rest of the stoop. And the rest, more importantly, the rest of the ironwork.
Under the trouble of putting in a gate without any permission at all. It's nothing like the restaurant that didn't abide by details, but to
Well,
put any gate without a gate being approved.
Right. I mean, look, we know what our standard is. Would we have approved it if, right? I mean, we have a very clear and consistent standard. It's not a punitive standard. It's a very clear and consistent. If this application had come to us, what would we say? And we know what that is.
And ideally, we'd like for it to look like that it was originally designed that way.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
The way we thought it wasn't.
Exactly. I see that the applicant has her hand raised, and I would just like to say that we're in what's called our business session now, Michelle. So that is just to say you're welcome to stay and listen, but this session is just for committee members to speak.
Yeah, and oh, go ahead, go ahead.
And all the explanation didn't justify of the why and there was a lot of presentation that didn't justify the gate as it exists.
Well, and we're evaluating what does it look like
Right,
and how does
right,
it relate? We
right.
understand the need.
Right, I think,
And we
exactly.
didn't even go into that tonight.
Well, and we're gonna continue to see more of these as there continue to be issues, and especially within that area.
In
We
that
keep seeing
area.
them around the park, et cetera. So it's just as long as we're uniformly applying what we usually do, which is what you've outlined,
And there can't be many houses left on Waverly Place. It seems like we have.
It's the tiniest
No, you'd be
little
surprised.
sidewalk, yeah.
And the fact of the matter is the need is real. And so
Yeah.
we do see more and more of these, and that is.
Which means they're even more
something we
important,
really
yeah.
need to pay
We
attention to
discussed
what
this
they
in
look
some
like.
detail when it started coming up. And the two things we said was it should be harmonious with the
Mhm.
items there and that they should close automatically. So.
Yes.
Right.
About the day.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't need double gates. Maybe you have one gate in the middle. I mean, it's all not very lovingly thought out.
Right.
You know, we take a lot of love and care with our neighborhood, and this is just the minimum. And this is something that we've seen before and just as bad.
made a similar comment, yeah. And that's,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
And throwing some little knuckles on a square post when it's round on the other and.
the height,
Yeah, yeah. No, we all, I think we're all in agreement on this, Chanel.
Yeah, I would like to note that they did get a lot of advice from Landmarks Commission, maybe bad advice because of the outcome. But I think we have to recognize that they probably went into it with the best of intentions or thought that they were following the process. And they got a lot of advice from Landmarks. So it's not, like you said, Chanel, we're not going into this looking to penalize them.
right. And the denial is not against having the gate, it's just,
Right.
you just want the most.
Well, I
If
think
it
that's.
was been a rendering, we would have said throw it out and come back.
Yeah.
And again, why can't we know at the beginning of a presentation if something is a rendering? There was an egregious one in Soho, and I maybe spoke too sharply at the meeting about it.
Mhm.
I finally had to say to the presentation person, if I go down there and look at it with my own eyes, what will I see? And it was only then that it was admitted that it existed. So
Right.
really just.
Maybe just have to ask at the top of the presentation, I don't know, especially with AI, everything looks.
Well, we have to just speak our opinion.
that's it.
That's what we're here for.
Exactly.
And it wastes our time, so let's don't waste any more and go to.
Exactly. Okay, we know what we need to do.
Okay.
Okay.
This is the, I think it's clear in everybody's mind what it is.
Okay, we're
All
moving on
three
to,
of them are doors, and they
Yeah.
represented that the louvers couldn't be lower.
You're right.
Maybe we could say we'd like for them to be but if it were possible code wise or whatever determines it to just squeeze into
I don't think that's gonna happen, honestly.
World and how
Because it's so high. I mean, 3'9" is a small wall. A bulkhead, it comes to here on me.
Yeah.
and that's far above Doris's 18-inch rule.
It sure is. In fact, it's 2+ times. So, and I don't think they could reduce the
I
size of the
think we could
louver.
reasonably ask that it be investigated. It almost seemed like the applicant was feeling beholden to the spa for whatever the spa.
No, I think they're beholden to whatever mechanical equipment has been put in and paid for, which is very expensive. And they've got equipment and ductwork right behind there. That's not flexible. It's to the inch. You know, they have to have so much fresh air and all that. But
yeah, and what I was asking is if it was possible, which obviously the applicant's not authorized to know.
yeah,
That it be lowered.
Yeah, or some illusion thereof. I mean, I don't know. I think sometimes you have to do a little smoke and mirrors if it's an eyesore, that you create an illusion that it's a bulkhead and then maybe recess it. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, a register, these louvers to me are in general so soulless. Whereas if you go around in Soho, you see some of the most beautiful louvers. I don't know why we haven't brought that back. Something decorative.
We see grates over them.
Yes.
I think that's a really good suggestion because, we do see these decorative grills or decorative grates as opposed to these other kinds of things. And if, the need for that height is driven by the particular needs of the ventilation system, so be it. Then the solution that we might offer is that given the increased area of this louver, that it offers something,
Don't be so utilitarian about it.
Yeah, that's right.
I get it.
It's an opportunity, really. I don't know. But people are very resistant because everything is like, whatever it's called. There's one company that makes them and they push them out and everybody picks those and it's very lifeless.
Right.
And otherwise the infill's okay.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about the lighting?
We don't know. We need light. We need
existing figures. We didn't see them, right?
So we need.
Well, on the proposed storefront section, there's a very minimal suggestion of what they look like. And I believe on another page, they're just very simple cylinders, but they don't really have any historic.
There's no cut either.
It's like a can, here.
I thought that was being negated in the discussion or something.
Yeah.
I think
we're supposed to see the actual fixtures. Oh, they're metal and shiny.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're really,
cans.
not at all harmonious with the storefront or the building.
So we can ask for harmonious with, obviously, there's such thing as historic electric light.
Well, Landmarks usually requires that you submit a cut sheet. You can't just be harmonious.
So we can just say we can't approve the lighting fixtures because we don't really have enough information.
Yeah, I would just not approve them.
I agree.
And what else?
We're definitely not approving these and say that they need to snap to the historic.
Not to what?
Historic standards. Just to be more historic.
Yeah, something. I mean, at least show it to us so we can see.
And we'll put the scolding did not show.
All right, Grand Street, Grant Jones.
Yeah, great, Jones. So we're saying we're approving infill, but not the louvers and not the lighting.
That the louvers be treated in some harmonious.
Yes.
I wasn't crazy about the black back painting, but I'm not gonna make an issue out of it. I mean, if anybody else feels the same way. I
I'm
just,
happy to agree with what you
They
said.
show that black.
well, usually what we do now is
Windows very.
we add a film on the back. And it's just not, it's not like just as dead as the black paint. It's sort of a little, but I don't want to make a big deal out of it, but that's what I do.
Are others in agreement with
Yes.
denying the paint, recommending otherwise?
All right.
What was that, Chanel?
Are others in agreement with that?
That we deny the black
Deny
paint
the back
in
painting.
favor of
A film of
Yes.
some kind.
I'm
whatever
gonna
It could be a
yours.
sculpture.
Yes.
Valerie. Yes, we're all in agreement with that, Chanel.
Yeah.
Okay. Broadway sidewalk.
A color, what is it gonna look like? I think that's something that should have been submitted and to match existing when there are so many different kinds. I don't think the original sidewalk had any of those aggregates. And again, maybe I don't mind it, but I just don't even know what we're approving as far as what it's gonna look like.
Well, he said replace existing, which I took to be the existing color and everything.
I tell you, there's so many different colors. What's existing? Just the stones, they had like 3 different colors there.
Oh,
I mean, I'm not gonna make a big deal out of it. It's just, we do care. Is it gonna be dark? Is it gonna be light? Does it look like bluestone sidewalk? Is it supposed to look like granite? You know, they had different sidewalks back in the olden days. So I just think we are a little light on information.
How do we say that then?
Well, I think what.
It just doesn't seem to rise to the deny and come back. So if we can make a what we expect landmarks to ferret out from it.
What were you gonna say?
Well, we're approving the replacement of the structure.
Sure.
Under the substructure that holds up the sidewalk.
Which is.
But we didn't get a chance to see what the finished product was gonna look like, so we can't approve that.
And it sets the stage for this very long building. 100 feet is a long sidewalk and then another 30. So whatever you pick, you're stuck with it. So it might be nice to know what that is and why.
Right? We can't approve something we haven't seen. So.
And to match existing is one of those catch-alls.
So we recommend denial and that they return.
That's what it takes. Yeah.
Well, I think we should
Approve
be
the
very
work.
clear that we approve the work and the general concept of the work and all of that.
And
And I think
it's what we see. And what we see is our main thing.
you know, but I mean, I think we should be very, clear that it's not, that we approve the concept of the work. We understand that they can't replace the vault light. I mean, obviously they took great care to demonstrate why they couldn't actually replace the vault lights, and do some major vault light sidewalk. So, I think we need to recognize that and just say that we have concerns. We can't approve the actual material without knowing what it is. It's very reasonable.
I think the structure only came to us because there's evidence of historic.
Because of the vault light
Historic sidewalk.
suggestions, yeah.
And that having clearly it doesn't exist.
It's not coming back, that's for sure, whether it was there or not. It's been so deteriorated, there's nothing left. And it would cost a fortune.
What we don't approve, what we deny, we approve the restructuring.
We approve the work, we just don't approve the finish. We're really talking about a finish color. Concrete is fine, but you know, there's so
Deny,
many.
right, as opposed to not approve that.
Oh, yeah, unable to make a decision. I don't know, however you want to phrase it, is fine. We can't deny, we don't know what it is. They don't know what it is. That's what it was.
And Pete suggested dark, which is one.
I like it dark because otherwise you got chewing gum. I don't know who chews this much gum, but it's everywhere. So I also like it because it looks like bluestone. It looks more natural than just concrete.
So we're not going to recommend, we're just going to say that we don't approve it because we didn't have anything to approve.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I wouldn't even like to see something, the sidewalk that's there now, that from the pictures, it looks like it's very, with a lot of aggregate, which is great for not slipping, but that's not an old finish or look or anything. It looks like the Picasso statue. You know, it's like stainless.
It's great for masking the chewing gum.
I thought we were seeing a basic sidewalk with patches in it, but I misread the picture, right?
Well, again, how do we know? To me, it looked like there was a lot of aggregate, and that's not that's not bluestone, that's not anything, that's concrete. And we probably would like to make it look a little bit better than just a concrete sidewalk.
Is that it?
I would say we've done it.
That's the 11th Street.
On that.
I think it just came to us a little early because they're going to have, samples. The decision makers at the building will agree on what they like. And that's the point at which we need to see something.
And that's when landmarks might go there. I don't know why landmarks would not
actually
approve
seems
it.
a little premature.
Yeah, but landmarks wants to know what it looks like too.
Sure.
And you can say, well, the samples.
And we want them to return when a decision is made what the finish will be.
Exactly. So I think this was just a little premature. I mean, we certainly approve the concept, but we can't approve the result until we see it.
And maybe they'll have the wisdom to lay over instead of going through the being sent back. Prince Street is a terribly simple application. It's totally inexcusable what happened.
Actually, it didn't end up being all that simple. Because there was the light fixtures, the signs, the
checkerboard, I know.
The period. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Are we going to pull it apart or are we going to deny it? The things that I have highlighted that are egregious, the lighting was just dumb.
Those two things, you mean, those two light fixtures that are described in the application as being like some homage to Hollywood deco.
Yeah.
And I understand that, but I don't understand Hollywood deco on Crosby Street.
And also, I don't even know how it's deco either.
It's meant to look like a little makeup mirror.
Or the makeup.
Little retro makeup mirror, reference, but it's
and I
not
think we
relevant.
definitely deny any kind of blade sign that sticks out 36 inches.
Well, the proposal is to remove the blade sign.
I know, but
So
it's
we
in the
must-
packet.
I
That's
know,
all I'm
right.
saying.
So
The thing they're putting in is a big one.
Well, the blade sign, we're simply emphasizing that they said, and we agree, the blade sign is no longer in the scope of work.
Right, so we're approving the removal of the blade sign.
On Crosby.
On Crosby.
And then the flag sign, the dark green flag sign, that's replacing a similar sign that was on for the previous tenant.
And using the existing
And supposedly was
hardware.
previously approved.
We didn't see any size or anything, but it's solar.
I think it's fine.
I don't like the sign. I don't like the color. I don't know where, it's very, it doesn't just flow. It's very segmented. But hey, pick our battles.
As those banners are.
It's a lot of area for the building. We had last month, we had the same thing of a tiny building. And if you observe the regulations about Soho.
Oh, I know which one you're
things
talking.
that stick out.
You're thinking about that beautiful
it was
firehouse.
reasonable, but on the building in question, it was this monster thing.
Yeah, it's funny. Anyway, it's very busy for the amount of storefront it is.
And what do we
It's very
think about those plexiglass signs that are popped into the lower transoms?
Oh,
I don't-
they're
With the words?
absolute denial.
I don't think that we should approve those. What do others think?
It feels very Coney
What?
Island. Sorry?
What should we, what particular part?
The bottom.
The bottom signs.
Where it says like stoops
To go
and
on
yeah.
Sundays.
It kind of reminds me when we were talking about Aritzia. I was just, it's all,
But also, it's just sort of generic retro. It's not Soho.
yeah. And it's
it
just
almost
very
looks like
large,
a
very
diner.
large. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a generic retro diner kind of a.
Oh, and also, it feels like the boardwalk to me. I get a slurp.
We already talked about the ramp, right?
We have not.
Okay.
we do not.
And the checkerboard is just the
That's a no.
extension of the same.
It's again
Yeah.
sticking the branding into a shoe that it doesn't fit.
I had the thought, when the branding aspect was discussed, this is something we hear over and over again. And I had the thought that if we're talking about branding, then we need to think about, the branding of our beloved historic districts. We have a brand to protect too.
There's
And
the Soho
actually,
brand,
if we're going to use that sort of measure, then we have a brand too.
I also think it's a misunderstanding of what people are looking for in Soho. I mean, I guess maybe they are coming to find Old Navy, Big Mac, but that's not the special atmosphere that Soho has been, pulling people in for. It's better to hide your branding, I think.
I never heard of this thing before, so
I have. It's Dig In rebranded. So are we saying to completely remove the letters at the bottom, or are we saying to reduce the size?
I would say remove.
I'd say remove.
Okay.
They make it look very, not
It's
very
garish.
classy.
It's
Yeah.
garish. Okay.
I know
and
they're
the
trying to
question
sell.
is, the customers are not being driven away by what we suggest.
Listen, this is slightly relevant. I was in Hoboken this afternoon where we drove by a Shake Shack on Washington Street, the main commercial thoroughfare. And the Shake Shack is in an Art Deco building. Shake Shack is a very recognizable brand. And to their great credit, they managed quite successfully to adapt their Shake Shack branding to this clearly Art Deco building.
It can be done.
And it was
you're
just
saying.
one more example of how this can be done.
Yes.
You can have a brand, you can have your brand and show it too in a historic district.
And eat it, yeah.
And there's another example, which is the unfortunately went with the flood at Asheville. The McDonald's of all things was in an historic building that was related to the Biltmore estate and the Biltmore Village, which was built to be the town of the estate. And
They got some orange in
right
there.
into
Come on.
the historic building, and everybody was happy. It was always held up as the best McDonald's in the world. So it's possible.
So, we all share, I think, these concerns about branding in our historic.
And meanwhile, it's a wonderful corner. It's got a really nice vibe.
Yeah.
Well, it's the irony of it, right? The irony of it's the historic district, it is the foot traffic, because of the way
That's why
it
you want-
feels.
And then you.
And it yields these high rents, which then it's the foot traffic
Exactly.
is desirable, the retailer wants to come in and then wants to then.
Homogenize and diminish.
Yeah, homogenize, excellent, that's.
So we've got a long list of.
Okay, so the
things that we
checkerboard,
can't-
no.
Can we move on to 11th Street?
Well, let's make sure we've hit all the points in this tiny storefront.
Oh, okay.
So let's just, if you could review them, Chenault, we make sure that we've hit them all.
Okay, I've written so bad it takes me a bit. Oh, we didn't talk about the color.
Not crazy about it, but who cares? It'll change. I mean, wouldn't pick on that little line. We lived with it on Bleecker. Remember they painted one on Bleecker? It lasted not even a year, I think, and now it's painted something else.
I
Which
just
is
thought it
sad.
made it look top heavy, but unless we're going to deny the whole thing, it's probably something not to touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, right.
The halo sign.
A light green color, I'm fine with.
Yeah, I'm okay with the light green color too.
Okay, next item.
Oh, wait, one more thing,
The
sorry.
halo sign.
What about the halo, the
Halo
excessive dimension on the halo lit?
It didn't seem to be egregiously deeper, and it didn't assert
It's an
itself.
inch and a half deeper.
Right, to me, it's not that bad. I mean,
Okay.
I'm okay.
Okay, I just, since it isn't,
We clarified the
Yeah.
material and
Okay.
the lighting.
okay, so we're okay with that.
The things we're denying are the lighting fixtures.
Excuse me, a halo though, let me just ask a question. A halo is a halo behind a solid. This is just an illuminated, isn't the whole thing illuminated?
It's a solid front.
Is it still backlit? Is it still?
I think
It's only
No,
back.
no, it was a legitimate halo. It's just a thick one. It's thicker than they normally are.
But it's solid, it's a real solid, I could not
Painted in the light
see
green,
that.
painted in the light green. Yeah, the rendering was deceptive, but that's why we clarified it.
All right, I still don't see it, but I believe you.
The ramp facade deny. Approve the removal, I should say, of the blade sign. The flag I trailed off on, we do need. The flag, we want reduced in size, did I get that correct?
No, I don't think so. We
I don't-
didn't talk about.
It's not that, it's 24 by 36, so it's sort of within the
It's within the
realm.
realm.
Okay, so flag is okay.
Flag, okay.
The Crosby Street blade sign to be removed. It is a flag, not a banner.
Well, flag is a term that they have on their presentation.
Okay. The lettering on the panels below the window denied.
Yes.
And that's.
And then Pete Davies had a comment. It's so noisy here today. What's outside? Is that even if you put two light fixtures up, it's not symmetrical. So I don't know whether that's even needed. I mean, again, it's trying to create like a big entrance, but it's not an entrance at all. It's a serving window or something. So I just thought I'd bring that up. Because that's what they want, two light fixtures on either side of that takeout window.
Yes or no for the lights?
We'll know for the type of light that's proposed and whether there should be a second one is the question I'm revisiting. I don't really care one way or the other.
I don't really either.
Maybe we want more light.
So it depends on the type, because if each one is a lower keyed and lower wattage, then it mutes it, and but it gives the serving window enough light.
Yeah.
But the ones I chose, I did not like, so I would say it's not the placement, it is
The
It's the
fixture.
The fixture itself.
Right, agreed.
Develop fixtures and recommend historically compatible harmonious.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's not approvable. I mean, we don't approve the lights, that's all. They submitted it and we don't approve it. But I
This
don't,
was in light of not seeing what we're getting.
not approving very
Yeah,
much,
right.
are we?
Not much.
And
I don't think
those are all
anything.
ahead of my list.
Well, some things.
The color of the paint
Yeah, we're letting them keep the color, which they already did, so it's.
and the sign and the dig.
Yeah, and the banner or flag.
That exhausts the list of, that's all I have, so.
So we got that. Okay,
All right.
11th Street.
We agree that it's of just being slip covered, the size is the same. Let's start at the top, is at least contentious. Given the width of the door, in fact, lined up with the window above, are we in accord with everything?
That's fine.
From the
I think it's an
terrace?
optical illusion a little bit. We have to.
I think we have to write something about it though, because the applicant did say, well, if it's not right and you want it to be that size, I mean, I think the applicant wasn't 100% convinced that he thought it was the same, that door was the same width, but.
So we want the door to be the window elongated, which will determine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. So the width and the trim to make sure that it stays looking this like a window.
Ish.
Which is elongating the window.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
as though you leave everything and patch the bottom
Mhm.
molding.
Mhm. All right.
No glossy black. Let's just get that out in the open. I think it's a mistake. I don't think it has anything to do with anything except a different neighborhood. And even if it's black, it shouldn't be a high gloss.
Totally agree.
Black. It's not appropriate for a historic district, period. So no glossy.
It sunk in what I was saying about
Wrought iron.
why it's not Morton Street.
Yeah, but even then, I personally don't go high gloss, even though I like it. That's not really, very modern-y looking.
I don't know.
Well, all right,
Are
but
we
it's
going
not
to
iron.
recommend anything?
I could go either way. I don't
Are we
care.
going to recommend anything or just deny the black?
Well, I don't think we necessarily need to deny the black. I think we need to deny a high gloss facade. It's more that the whole facade is painted,
Yeah.
right? Well, there's so many things about this that have nothing to do with what we're looking for. I mean, they changed the proportions. I think that's more egregious than anything. Two huge square windows with square buttons and.
Okay, let's go bit by bit. The glossy black paint is denied.
I think so, yeah.
The glossy paint. We're willing to just say the glossy finish.
Thanks, yeah.
Yeah.
Finish, good, okay.
But now that you mention it, no.
I think he was over optimistic how all that articulation's going to read.
I thought so too.
Then the basement and parlor floors, he said they were okay, and they don't look terribly different from things that have been approved.
Right.
Oh, that's true.
Okay, the second floor is, well, I said in the extreme what I thought about it. Do we simply say denied? It has to be something that respects either the vertical or the horizontal.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate it keeps looking like a base. with the.
Yeah, I can't unsee that.
I had already thought, I thought the same thing you did. I was looking at it and I thought it looks like a little Lego face.
Yes, that's what it is.
It just looks like a commercial building where you would entertain clients outside after.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think these renderings are suffer. They don't do, I would hope. I mean, I think
Right, that's true.
they really flatten it and make it look kind of fake. But that would still be a good heads up.
Maybe if there were 3 children, they'd have smaller rooms and we'd be happy.
Well, listen, we've all dealt with that, the 3 windows. It's always a problem. You have a little tiny room or you have a room that's unequal. So I don't even mind if they go to 4 windows or whatever it is to solve that equality.
Right, right.
Yeah, and 4 across.
Yeah, that would be good.
2 and would keep the horizontal.
And they would know they were in Soho, I mean, in West Village, in an iconic block.
Right, so they would be replacing the current situation of 5, which, looks a little squished in there with 4. 4
And
would be
this
fine.
is a little bit a neighbor, a relative of, oh, well, it's the branding. It's the client's first and most desired thing was to have it black and shiny.
Right.
And it's all something that has nothing to do with architecture or preservation.
Well, it's a balancing thing. I mean, certainly they bought an expensive house. They wanted it to be the way they want it to be. I mean, that's that. But, it still has, they still a house within a historic district. So
they bought it, right.
That's where the balancing has to come in.
I keep hoping that what we say here is not just well, let's put it a different way. I'm hoping that the comments that we make are to better the project because not everybody thinks about this stuff every day, all day, in discussions. We've got a fine-tune eye for this, and it's not meant to insult or anything. It's just meant to, look, it could be better. Did you realize this?
Yeah.
And maybe I need to say softer things with more words, but that's the intent. And I find that it's very difficult when people are so quick to defend when we just want you to hear what we have to say. Maybe you could take something good from it.
Right.
And not don't be offended.
Right. It's not a win-lose, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's when we sometimes get overly involved in perhaps you should do this or suggest this might be considered.
Well, otherwise we're just saying no. Don't we want to give reasons? I mean, I think that's, we want to be useful, not just.
But how rarely do we hear, oh, what a good idea?
Once a year.
Well, who knows? Sometimes they pick it up later without us knowing.
Sure.
So it's like, you hope they'll hear it when they need it.
I didn't want to prolong, but I thought the cornice, is that
Seemed big
really
and
historic
fussy.
to have such a cornice on the back of a house?
Yeah, they do, but it did seem, at least again, maybe from the renderings, it seemed really overly important for a back of house. But they do have it there, and it is, I'm quite sure that's original. So if they match that, it won't be as predominant, I think, as it shows.
Mm-hmm.
And the stairway seemed to be okay, and that it continued the railing from the terrace.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's another complete, did we talk about excavation? I mean, this whole backyard is completely paved now. So I don't know if that was something.
Was it?
Maybe it was already.
I don't think there was an excavation. It's just the hardscaping you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I mean, or if there's anything else, usually you have to get the basement floor.
There was a patio outside of the lower level basement, but then it stepped up pretty quickly. I thought it was.
But it's all paved. It looked all paved to me.
Yeah, I guess I didn't notice that.
It wasn't part of the application for us to review.
Yeah.
Did they show us a plan of the backyard?
I don't think so.
Just the rendering.
They should, isn't it like stone?
Yeah, but impervious is the operable.
Yeah.
We are just paving over the city as fast as we can.
Like that, you can
Thanks,
pave it
Paradise.
with pervious pavers, you know?
We can. Easy and it's nice, especially if you don't have a room underneath.
Right, yeah. Is there anything that,
Getting blank pages.
I don't see, as soon as it steps up, it looks like grass.
Let me see. Please. Oh,
I
yeah.
don't have a dimension, but
I don't know what I'm looking at. I see what you mean. Never mind. It looks like they've got grass.
I can't, mine won't open. There's something to be said about the garden.
There's some grass there.
right, we were commenting, thinking that it was all backyard paved, but they actually step up to a lawn or planted area, landscaped. So,
And there's no room underneath apparently. So
so we're.
we'll take it away. Forget it. Beep.
Was it-
Yeah, I couldn't see what it was.
Yeah.
Looks like a swimming pool to me, but I've got swimming on my mind.
No, it's a little.
No, it's,
Right, well.
so it's, yeah, not a, it's.
Are we okay on this application?
Yes, we're okay
Not an
with
issue.
the rest of it. I mean, I think we are. Let's see. We definitely have talked about the two windows, the glossy paint.
Bluestone wall finish.
Yeah, that's gone.
And it seems like a time we could suggest 4. Because we've solved the problem
Yes,
sometimes it's so hopeless, they just have to go back, but, I would certainly think we could say that 4 would keep the more historic and
Are you, young lady, are you like hammering a Morse code?
No, I was taking some notes. I have my. spreadsheet
Okay,
for the
all right.
applications.
now here's the situation with the famous recreation center. As far as we know, there will come a report without a promise of a personal appearance in December. Obviously,
Wow.
by the time we want to do anything. Because it'll probably be later than it just doesn't fit with the truncated time to do something in December. I had a thought that maybe even be a suggestion, which is that similar to the St. Vincent's, that the board, the chair, the executive committee, whoever does these things, organize a similar forum to the one that we had that would include the report from the commission saying whatever it's going to say, and that it be about the center totally. It would necessarily encompass landmarks and parks and land use and perhaps whatever the one that Susanna chairs because of the services that the building.
Human services, yeah.
Yeah, because what happens, particularly in view of the testimony we got, is that it's not just recreation in the park sense, that it serves, in some cases, medical needs. And therefore, it's so all-encompassing that it's appropriately a board forum to discuss the overall.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Chanel.
And so what I'm suggesting is that we have an agreement, if not a resolution, that we put this to Susan Kent, that's our recommendation. Sort of handing it off, as it were, after our highly successful evening.
Hopefully in a large venue as well.
Yeah.
And particularly because the evening was marginally about landmarks. in the end.
Right, no matter how much we tried, clearly that's where the energy is. Valerie?
Yeah, I think if something happened, that would have to be held in January. The December dates have all kind of been called for. There is a joint parks and traffic meeting. It's not related to this, right?
No.
December, I don't know what's on that agenda. It's not clear.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I can find out, but I don't think it has
Okay.
anything to do with
Okay.
this.
Thank you.
I'll double check it.
Okay, I will, I'll say to Susan Kent that this is what we've decided, if that's what we decide.
Yes.
Yeah, I think looking at it holistically like that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and thank you for the St. Vincent's reference.
Yeah, because that was, I felt like, in that case, it was, well, it was so much more, but it was, maybe too soon ripped away from the landmarks, although that actually worked out and that most of the campus was preserved, and what replaced the corner building is certainly better than what was there. So I think landmarks came out on top of that, if not our health. Are there other things that come to people's minds? We're a little bit off kilter because of the big cancellation, and there are more applications next time, but two of them are this sort of routine revocable consent, and two of them are simple as well. So there are four that we should not have any great thing with, and I think there are three rather complicated ones. So thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks,
guys.
Thank you, Eugene.
I'm going to try to finish this tomorrow, Susan, and I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Fine. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thanks. Good night, everybody.
Somebody will turn us off. We won't be meeting all night.
I'm gonna end the meeting. Boom.